You know, every once in a while, a man of God, a man of the cloth, a preacher boy gets an opportunity to say his piece on the radio every day. And my friend David Housholder is one of those guys. He's live from California. He's in studio, and we're talking to him and his wonderful mother today. Live here on The View from a Pew on The Truth.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 244-0077. That's 244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Hey, thank you very much. 12th day of August in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we're live this afternoon on The View from a Pew on The Truth, 99.3. Now, you may have just pushed scan on your car radio, and this voice came out. And you said, I know that voice. That's that guy. Maybe you remember me from Mac's World Live. Maybe you remember me from Mac and Amy or Hatfield and McCoy or Dick Young's and I on the radio so many hundreds of years ago. So this is not a ghost from the past. Hi, it's me. I'm live. And we are on the brand new Christian preaching, teaching, and social commentary radio station in your market. No, you haven't been sleeping. We just came on the air a little more than a month ago. And we are happy to be here. From 11 in the evening till 11 in the morning, some of the best preachers, pastors, teachers in America. All Protestant, no funny business, just the gospel straightforward. Then from 11 in the morning till 11 at night, guys like me, Steve Dace, Dr. Brown, we give you what we call social commentary. You call it talk radio, and that's okay. The only difference between us and everybody else is we don't mix in Jesus when we get a chance and the boss is out of town and we know we won't hear that name, Jesus, on the radio. That's the way the other people have to operate. I don't know if you know Jan Michelson. He's a godly man. He's a wonderful man. I'd love to let him do a talk show on a Christian station because he'd blow us all away. He'd out-preach most of the preachers in town. But he works for a secular company. And I don't even know if he gets to say the quote-unquote Jesus name on the radio. He may not be allowed to. Us, that's the first, middle, and last name we use. So, yes, we'll talk politics. Yes, we'll talk issues. Yes, we'll talk some of the some of the topics that maybe make you a little uncomfortable, you know? This is not your grandmother's radio station. There's no Earl Roberts and Billy Graham, and, you know, I'm sorry. The Crystal Cathedral is no longer around. We're talking 2015 topics, social commentary, and evangelism. And we thank you for being here. Phone lines are always open at 515-244-0077. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, because if you go to Webcast One Live, I know I'm giving you a lot of information. Just take notes. Webcast ONE Live, you'll find a live chat. Doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to sign up for anything. You're not going to get emails from us. We just don't operate that way. You're not going to get a Tom Coates Consumer Credit commercial. You just have an opportunity to log on, talk to Bob, tell him what you're thinking. Ryan is producing, and I have two special guests today. The first is David Housholder. You say, oh, that's the guy. No, that's not his name, David. Well, this is Mike's older brother, David, who is a pastor in Huntington Beach, California, and I believe it's called
Robinwood Church.
Okay, and you and your wife, Wendy, and your son, Lars, are here because everybody got together for your mom's 80th birthday.
The big 8-0.
Yeah.
And everybody was there.
Your little brother is outside of Chicago in a Lutheran church. Naperville. And you're in California. And then, of course, Mike, the middle son, is here in Des Moines. And Delphine Housholder, your mom, of 56 years, right?
54, but that's okay.
54, okay.
It feels like 56 for her, I am sure.
You? Really? You look so much younger than
California. The weather's better.
Well, plus, and I'll say this in a minute, but anyway, and we have Delphine here, and we've promised her that she wouldn't have to talk a lot, but we do want to honor her today, and this is her. Your birthday's actually coming up in a little bit, but when you got three boys that are preachers, you take when they can all get together at the same time.
Absolutely.
And they gave you what did you guys finally vote on?
Outdoor furniture.
Okay, now that wasn't your choice, was it?
Well, I didn't really have a word from the Lord on that one, so I kind of stayed out of it. And a lot of women took part in that decision. And
really?
SWMBO, she who must be obeyed,
Yes.
was the one who...
Well, your brother from the pulpit made it sound like the three of you made the decision.
Well, we were doing it, and it was going badly.
Yes.
We were coming up with all kinds of things we wanted, but
Yeah.
she would never want. And so I suggested perhaps we should ask the ladies.
And they came up with...
They came up
furniture.
Exactly, and it worked.
And
it
it's
worked.
beautiful.
It is.
And so, Delphine, what's it like to be the mother? Well, and you were a pastor's wife for how long?
35 years.
All right. So you've been doing this Jesus business your whole life.
Yes.
And I never got to know your father, or I'm sorry, your husband, but I can see through your boys and through you the kind of man he must have been. Which one of your sons are most like your ex or your former husband? Your husband?
All three.
All three. That's a safe answer, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, any other answer would not be acceptable. Well, we're glad you're here today, and you just hang in there.
Thank you so much.
You bet. One of the reasons I wanted David on today is because I'm just a freak about evangelism. And whatever happens in California, what do you say, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, pretty much what the teenagers are wearing in California, another year to 3 years out here they'll be wearing. It's a wave that sort of comes out this way. And so when things happen, it happens in California first.
So what are you doing with evangelism out in California that we're either not doing here or not doing enough that we've noticed it?
Well, Iowa's changing really fast, too. Society is becoming pluralistic everywhere. On the way here, I drove by an Islamic center, and there it was. And so this is not something you saw in Des Moines.
That's right.
60 years ago.
That's right.
So we're living in a pluralistic society, and this young man here in the behind the glass
Ryan,
over here,
Ryan,
the producer, grew up in a different world than you and I grew up in. I grew up in a world in Bloomington, Minnesota, and the only ethnic group we had was Missouri Synod Lutherans. That was it. That was it. And if you
ethnic was Missouri. Did you get the joke, Bob?
No, I did not.
Did that go over you?
Yeah.
Okay. The only ethnicity they saw in Minnesota in the 60s was the Lutherans and the Missouri Synod Lutherans.
And that's it. And so basically...
You still don't get it, do you? All right, I'll explain
Well,
it.
when I grew up, you were either Lutheran or Catholic. There was nothing else.
Right.
And the Catholics were wrong in our minds. We were right. And in their minds, they were right. We were wrong. And that was all there was to it. Well, that's changed. Ryan has not grown up in that world. He's grown up in a world where there's all kinds of stuff out there. And so when we share our faith, it's in a whole different context.
So when you share your faith, if you meet somebody on the street, you're walking the I don't know what you call it in California, because you're a surfer too. So you're down there with the surfboard people, and you're not wearing a white collar. I don't imagine you have preacher boy tattooed on your shoulder. How do you bring up faith to somebody that you just meet?
Well, let me share it this way. The best place for me to do that is snowboarding.
Snowboard.
I snowboard way too much.
Okay.
And so I go up to the mountains in the winter, real close by where we are. We can surf and snowboard on the same day. No, that's cool. So we go up snowboarding, and I always go single on the chairlift, and everyone's half my age. And the first thing I say is, I'm a Bible teacher. What do you guys do? And they're stuck with me because they can't jump. So the whole way up, they're thinking, oh, wow. And they always say something like, well, I'm not really religious or anything, but, and then I always answer with, do you ever pray? And the answer's always yes.
Yeah.
I've never heard no. The answer's always yes. It's yes. And I say, how can I pray for you? And no one has ever not had an answer for that.
But I bet a lot of people have never been asked that question.
But I pray with people every time I'm on the chairlift. And they're very touched by that. It's not weird. It's not religious.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd like to pray for you.
Yeah.
And it's just hitting a few pins. When you go bowling, you hit a few pins. You may not get them all knocked over. Someone else might knock over the last pin, but just hit a few pins.
And has any of those encounters ever turned into long-term relationships for you? People who end up coming to your church? No?
No, it's just 2 hours away. You probably never see them again. It's a
Okay.
crowd. It's like an anthill up there.
Yeah.
So you may never see them again. But you know they'll never forget it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christians might be okay, and God might like me.
Yeah. Now, you use the term religious, which I don't imagine is in your regular vocabulary when speaking amongst your own sheep.
Well, there's two different ways to use the word religious. People who have real relationship with Jesus don't want to talk
Right.
about religion.
Right. I hate religion.
Yeah, and people on the outside look at religion as a bad thing, but religion is also a sociological term for Christianity or Islam or whatever. So there's lots of different ways to use that label.
But wouldn't you agree that no, that's a leaning question. I shouldn't say that. I've stopped using the word religious because I'm not religious anymore.
I'm not sure you ever were.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't. I know I have a relationship with Christ. I know how I feel about my brothers and sisters that I go to church with, especially my brothers in my Bible studies. I mean, iron sharpening iron. One of the things I tell the guys in my Bible study is, okay, we're going to spend a year and we're going to study Romans. And from the outside looking in, it's going to look like a bunch of men reading Bible. But what we're really doing is getting to know each other and bonding. And the Pew Research, as I'm sure you know, says that every man has 0.7 friends, not even one hole that he can call in the middle of the night when the world falls apart. And I tell my guys, okay, there's 21 guys in this room. You got 20 guys now. You can call in the middle of the night. We're going to create relationships. I consider, or I look at it like we've got a prayer shaw ministry at Hope. And there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 gals sitting around on a Monday, and they're making these prayer shaws. Well, it looks like they're knitting, but they're not. They're getting to know each other. That's what they're really doing. So that's why the word relationship has replaced the word religion for me.
Oh, absolutely. My men's group, Monday mornings, we got 2 young guys. One has just come to faith. He's young 20s. He was miraculously healed of an ankle injury from soccer. Just huge, just instantly. And this changed his life. And just a great guy, but I just got the text yesterday, he failed his psych exam for the police academy.
Oh.
But now he's got guys there.
Yeah.
He's got guys there. We're going to get him through this.
Yeah.
And we're there for, we're all, we're going to walk him through this because most of us are older than he is. Most of us have also been through big failures. We understand what this is like. We've swung at stuff and whiffed. And so he's got people with him now.
Yeah.
And Matt in our group, he's not even sure he's a Christian yet. He comes every week. He's got great things to say. He's just really checking this out. He's in his mid-20s, single, but that's relationship.
Yeah. I remember people used to say to me, well, are you a Christian? And my answer would be no. Those people are silly. They stand up and they wave their hands and they don't kneel when they pray. They don't do communion every Sunday. They don't sing hymns. No, those people are nuts. I'm Episcopalian. Not even realizing that Episcopalian is just another,
Well, Episcopalians have very good table manners.
Yes, my mother does. Now, apparently I'm not a good Episcopalian because I don't have good table manners. But Episcopalians, that's a whole different subject, though.
But getting back to religious,
yes.
What do you not like? How do you define religious?
The law. I used to know the law because I was scared of it because that's what I was told I couldn't do. But now I understand that the law is there to teach me and to show me that I'm not good enough, that I can't.
Okay.
Without Jesus, I can't do this.
How about you, David?
I would define religion as something that would work if the Holy Spirit left the room. It would still operate. It doesn't need God.
I like that.
It doesn't need God.
So would you say it's man-made?
Yeah. It's that part of our faith system that would still operate if the Holy Spirit left the room.
Mm-hmm. And that's not good.
No. It's not attractive.
Religion would still operate if the Holy Spirit left the room. Ooh. That's a new Macism. Can I borrow it from you?
You can have it.
Did you make that up?
I did not. I put that together from something I think and something Bono thinks.
Bono?
Bono came up with something kind of like this. I tweaked it to fit our conversation.
Okay. Well, thanks for tweaking it. I appreciate that. All right. We're going to take our first break. My special guest today is David Housholder. No, not the other one. I know you know that one. This is his big brother, his older brother, David. And David is a pastor in Huntington Beach, California at Robinwood Church. Now, your first book was The Blackberry.
Well, I've had 4 books out, or 5 books, something like that. But my last book is The 7 Secrets.
Seven Secrets.
Yeah, which was made the top 5 list in nonfiction on Kindle when it first came out. And it's a Christian self-help book.
A Christian
self-help
book. Okay, The 7 Secrets. We'll talk a little bit more about that. He's brought his mother along, Delphine, who is celebrating her 80th birthday. A little early, just because all her boys could be here at some time. I'm trying to think of a big party we can have for you on, what is it, September 9th?
No, this will do. This one will
But it
do.
is,
But it is September 9th.
It is. Okay, good. See, you weren't going to tell me that, were you? I
No.
knew you weren't. All right, we're coming back live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 21 minutes after 2 o'clock on this beautiful 12th day of August in the Lord's year 2015. J. Michael McCoy, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on the new 99.3 The Truth. Producing is Ryan. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. What does that mean? Chat? It's radio. Huh? What do you mean? Well, we have a visual component also. If you go to Webcast One, webcastonelive.com, you can see us right now. And it's not fancy. That's why I don't call it TV. I don't look nearly as good as Ed Wilson and his incredible screen and test that he has and everything. But we do have some of the same technology. Ryan, do me a favor and shut off the green screen and back up that camera a little bit. What you're seeing is a beautiful room with stained glass windows. Well, now you can see that we're in a 17 by 14 room painted green. And it's not because I like green. It's because whatever we put between me and the wall is attracted by the green wall, and it becomes something else. So leave the camera where it is, Ryan, but turn on the green screen. There you go. Now, it doesn't look as good as it should because we're getting the lights up here. So as he zooms in on me, and radio people, I know this doesn't make sense to you, and you're my favorite. Radio's my deal, and you know that. But as he zooms in, now all of a sudden it looks like I'm sitting at a television counter with stained glass windows behind me. That's a little too close, Ryan. I look scary there. Look at Rip Van Winkle. And so that's one of the things we can do. You can see that on the webcast, he can put a name underneath. He can get you the number to call into the studio at 1-515-244-0077. Or when we go to our guest today, David Housholder, you can see his name and you can see where he's from. You can see his mother's name as she's sitting next to him. This is just the fun we're having with today's technology. But it's all about, to me, it's about the spoken word. It's about the Bible. It's about the Word. It's about a Jesus-centered life that we can talk about in a free country. So far, we can talk about it on the public airwaves, on the internet, and have no limitations. But we know that's changing. And one of the reasons that David's here today is because he's in California, and he has his church out there. He's a snowboarder. He's a surfer, right? Surf?
I teach surfing lessons. If anybody wants to learn.
Aren't you, I mean, seriously, you're 54. Aren't you a little old to be surfboarding?
No, there's great surfers out there that are 70. Oh, yeah.
70s?
Oh, yeah. Surfing is a low-impact sport.
Has he ever had you on a surfboard, Delphine?
No, thank you.
No, thank you? All right. But one of the reasons I've got David here today is to talk about how evangelism is changing in America, because David is convinced, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I just don't want to think about it, that whatever happens in California in 2015 is going to happen in Iowa in 2018, 19, certainly within 5 years. So how would you describe the evangelism we have here in Iowa now compared to what you're doing now back in California?
Well, first of all, I just have to explain one thing, and there's good news coming with California, because there's 3 stages culture has to go through.
Earthquake's coming, you're going to fall into the ocean?
I hope not. Okay. The big one is coming. We don't know when.
Right.
But there are 3 stages society goes through. It's important to understand these 3 steps. And the good news is that there's good news coming. It's not just going to get worse and worse. The bad news is we're in a stage right now where the left is controlling a lot of the media and telling us what we can and can't think and trying to vote in and out certain ways of thinking. And that's problematic.
No.
That's problematic. But the good news is in California, that's already changing. And the first level, let's go back to the first level, is when we're real exclusive. You grow up in Bloomington, Minnesota. You're Catholic or you're Lutheran. You're one of the two.
Right.
We're right, they're wrong. We want to evangelize people. We bring them into the right club. That's the way that works. In the next stage, which is called the inclusive stage, and that's where the left takes over. The inclusive stage is when they want to start including people from outside the tribe. We're going to include minorities. We're going to include women in leadership. We're going to include gays and lesbians, on and on. There's that inclusive vibe. And then they start voting in all kinds of philosophical and political ideas. And if you don't go along with those, you get voted out. And most of the big denominations are going through that right now. And it's not good because Presbyterians, Methodists, Lutherans, Episcopalians, all the same. The good news is that phase will end because the phase that's coming is the pluralistic phase where everybody respects everybody else. And what I'm hoping is that your voice will help with that because everybody, according to the Founding Fathers, has a right to be a part of a worldview, freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, and to respect each other.
Yeah, but David, I'm going to have a problem with that. Seriously. Because I'm never, ever, ever going to be able to accept someone who thinks abortion is acceptable.
Accept and respect are 2 different things. And here's what I mean. Okay. I don't accept it either. You don't have to give up what you think. You can hold on even more strongly to what you think. But the whole idea is, the rules of the game are, there's maybe a dozen different worldviews floating around out here. And the way you convince people is through persuasion, not through coercion and votes, which is why radio is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. You can't vote someone into another point of view.
Right.
You can't do that. You have to convince people.
You can't even argue them.
No. But you have to persuade, and you have to give reasons for it. That's what your whole station does here.
Right.
I noticed you said there are many worldviews, and you didn't say many biblical worldviews.
No, there's all kinds of worldviews out there. Ryan over here, in the producer, behind the glass, he grew up in a world with lots of worldviews. I didn't. And it's just a sociological fact. There's a lot of worldviews out there, some Christian, some not. And we don't get to vote on that. It's just the way it is. But the cool thing is, once we get past the inclusive stage, where the left is in control, we're going to move. California's already moving there. into the pluralistic stage.
So you're telling me that California is not as left as they used to be?
Well, there's people in California as left as they've ever been, but there's also lots of pockets of people who think differently, and that's not going to change. For instance, Latinos think a certain way, Asians think a certain way, white Republicans think a certain way. That's not going away, and the left is starting to understand that it's not going away. And so, how are we going to work? How are we going to work this out together? How are we going to convince each other? How are we going to help each other understand? And evangelism then becomes a persuasive rather than a coercive thing. This worldview we have makes more sense. It's a better life. It works better for us. I look at our family picture, and there's some values there that work really, really well. It's God's plan A.
Yeah.
And I think we can make a really good case for that.
David Housholder is my guest. He is the, are you the only pastor or the lead pastor?
Well, we're a pretty informal bunch. We have an associate pastor, a youth pastor, worship pastor. We're a little less structured than churches around here.
So you're one of the pastors at Robinwood.
I am the senior pastor.
Robinwood Church in Huntington Beach, California. I don't know if you got my email or my text, but CJ and I are planning a trip. We're going to go down to Phoenix and Scottsdale and see some friends. And then my mom and dad just moved to the Huntington Beach area with my sister and her brother.
Right. How fun. Yeah. You got to come hang out.
Well, we're going to come out. We're going to probably come out for a couple weeks and want to at least come into your church service.
I'll teach you to surf.
No, you won't. I have pictures of a trip many years ago to Cancun that proves I cannot surf. I can float and I can sink, and anything in between doesn't work. So thank you for the offer, but I'll watch. That was one of the most those. What are those boards with the sails on them?
Oh, that's really hard.
Oh, no kidding.
Windsurfing is really hard.
Yeah. My knees, my ankles, everything were ruined
and sandpaper all across your stomach and chest. Yeah.
It almost ruined my whole, and sunburned. It was terrible, but I didn't give up. My wife has picture after picture after picture. The seats snap like every 1 minute of me up, the sail, moving, down, on the board, up, moving, sailing, down, on the board. So, but anyway, we are going to come out for a while. We thought that'd be fun. Now, you're here because your wonderful mother, Delphine, turned 80 or is turning 80 this fall. And so you and your two brothers, Mike, who's your middle brother, and Tim, who's your younger brother, all came in with your whole family. Mm-hmm. Everybody was here.
Not one person missing.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's hard to do, especially when three boys are preachers.
It is.
Yeah. Now, Delphine, raising three boys who became preachers, everybody, I would assume, I won't speak for anybody else, I would assume that you must have had this perfect life. Your husband was a successful preacher. You got three boys that are preachers. There's probably no conflict, no anger, no nothing. You're perfect, right?
No.
Mom's pretty close.
No.
Pretty close to perfect, but not quite.
No.
Yeah, I'd say she's pretty close to perfect, too. So I don't want you to give up names, and I don't want to tell stories about individuals, okay? That's not what I want. But I do want to hear what it's like to be the mother of or to be the wife of a successful pastor, and then have three boys follow in his footsteps. What's hard about that as a mother or a wife?
I don't think it's hard at all. I think that when a person follows their heart and they have a calling for it, that they give 110% to that calling, no matter what it is. You do that with your vocation. And I don't think that being a pastor is one bit more excellent than any other profession.
In fact, the truth be known, it's harder than most people can imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. There's many times I sit, I read some of your posts, I sit in the worship center and hear Mike preach, and I think of the pressures that I'm under having a little radio show, on a little Christian station, and how I've got a shirt on right here that says the radio station on the chest. I'm trying to get a good picture of it. Anyway, when I wear this in public, they know who I am. They may never know my name, but I was that guy from that Christian radio station that got mad at me at the bank teller's office, or didn't give me the right change at Hy-Vee, or was short with me because my pizza wasn't ready yet. And I know you do the same thing, because otherwise they know you're the church.
Well, wherever Mike goes here in Des Moines, wherever we go out for lunch, there's 5 or 6 people that come up to him.
Yeah.
It's fascinating
Yeah.
to watch that. And that's got to be challenging because he really can't go anywhere
Absolutely.
in Iowa without somebody. A little girl came up to him yesterday just starstruck because he was this big character in VBS.
Yeah.
And
right there. His picture's right up there on that poster.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a great example. And don't hear me. I'll just give you an example. We had lunch today with Congressman Steve King. You met him on the way out the door. Where did we have lunch? In my conference room. I went out and got sandwiches from a fresh place and all that kind of stuff. Because we knew if we were sitting in a restaurant, we'd never get our business done. And who knows whose ears would be so close that we would not be able to trust what we were saying. And we only had a couple hours together. We wanted to value that time. And I imagine Tim deals with that in Naperville because it's not very big. But you're saying you don't?
Not so much. No. We have a really small, experimental, funky, evangelistic church, very spirit-filled, very Bible-based. But we're not structured. And so,
do you even have a building?
Not right now.
Okay.
And we're looking for one. But so we're kind of almost.
I got room on the other side of the hall, but the commute would be terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And we live in a county with 3 million people. So packed in pretty close together.
Yeah.
So really, we don't. About once a day, I run into someone I know.
Once a day. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. All right, let's take our second break. And when we come back, I want to focus on your book, 7 Secrets of a Meaningful Life. He turned the book over, so that's how I got to read it. And it's available on Amazon. It's available on at
any Barnes & Noble.
Any Barnes & Noble. All right. And it's David Housholder, and that's House with no E. Housholder. David Housholder, 7 Secrets of a Meaningful Life. We'll talk about his book when we come back. We'll be 35 minutes past the hour. Of course, at the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then 3 minutes after the hour, the Steve Dace. Back live in Afternoon Drive in his hometown, right here on The Truth. 99.3. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Love it, love it, love it. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth. Powered by webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, thanks for being here. 12th of August in the Lord's year 2015. 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Steve Dace, back on the radio live in Afternoon Drive right here on 99.3. He'll be on from 3 to 5 o'clock. I don't suppose I could ever get you to leave California and come back here and be on the station.
We should just set up like a virtual studio.
We could do that.
Where it looks like we're both here.
Yeah, we could do that.
It's just as real as you're sitting here right now. We could do that. That's got to be possible.
We know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's quite frankly, that's easily done. They do that. They've been doing it on national TV in the nightly news for a decade.
Oh, yeah.
Making people think they're in the Washington Bureau or whatever, and they're in the room next door.
Just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, just like in The Wizard of Oz.
They're like the Wizard of Oz. All right, a wonderful evangelist in California, the Huntington Beach area. David and his wife Wendy and son Lars have been there for many years. But he's also an author, and you've written several books. The Blackberry Bush was the one that I barely got through just because I'm not a reader, but I did enjoy it. Thank you very much. And the new one is called The 7 Secrets to a Meaningful Life, and you can get it on Amazon and all those places. First of all, what's a meaningful life? That's a very blasé, generic term.
A meaningful life is a life where you look back at it. You can only tell at the end. You look back at it and say, yeah, this was how I was supposed to live. And the truth is, I bury a lot of people. I've buried an awful lot of people. Yeah. And I see people before they die. I've seen a lot of people die. And most people think, most people die with no regrets. And that's not true.
Yeah.
I'd say 70, 80% of people say, Pastor, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. I wish I'd spent more time with my kids. I wish I'd been more faithful with the Lord. I wish I had developed my skills. I wish I had. Wish I
could have.
And this is a book to help with that ahead of time.
Well, we have a ministry at our church, and I don't know what it's called, but we call it Ending Well. And it's a bunch of us and I'm probably the younger one in the group, but there's a lot of us in our 60s and 70s who just aren't going to give up the last few years of our life. And we're going to make sure, and I like your word, we're going to make sure that our life is meaningful. Mm-hmm. And meaningful, really, you talked about what it means to us, but that's not the true measurement, right?
The true measurement is what the Lord thinks of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is why it's an unabashedly Christian book. But the cool thing is I write books in such a way that a non-Christian could read it and not get all triggered by stuff.
Yeah.
So they can still get through it without...
It's a religious book.
Yeah. I don't talk about hedges of protection or anything like that.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask your mother a question here, and I don't want to embarrass her, but Delphine, have you read the book?
Yes, I have.
Do you like it?
Yes, I do.
Would you say if you didn't?
Depending on the situation.
Knowing my mother, she would love it no matter what.
But you're a reader.
Yes, I am.
You like to read. Now, do you think you got the skill for writing because your mother enjoyed reading?
No, I like writing for the same reason you like being on the radio, and I love being on the radio, is I would rather write and talk on the radio and teach than read. I'm not a reader.
Oh, okay.
So I read because it's good for me.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy it.
Now, are those your words word by word, or did you have a ghost author? Or?
No. I knocked this thing out in a matter of weeks. My publisher needed a book, and it's a 49-part devotional or a 7-week sermon series, however you want to use it. So there's 49 segments grouped in 7 chapters, and it's all about pragmatic stuff. A lot have to do with our family. A lot of it's just really common sense stuff.
Well, give me an idea.
Well, for instance, we were talking earlier. We've got a family that isn't perfect, but we all got together, and there's a lot of good stuff there. And I asked myself, well, why is that? And I'm going to read you just a couple paragraphs here. Most of the paths to freedom and joy are counterintuitive. Here's the first one. Rules help. There's no question that you felt some serious doubt reading that last phrase, rules help. But my brothers and I were raised in a home that was blessed with a tiny handful of don't even ever think about it actions. As far as I can remember, there were 8. Don't steal anything ever. Never cheat on your spouse. Get married, stay married. Pay your bills. Avoid social circles where people buy and sell illegal drugs. Men never hit women under any circumstances. We go to church on Sundays and no bad language in the house. And for the rest, they were very lenient. But those are the no-fly zones.
Yeah.
And that made so much sense.
And what happens when you broke those?
There was the wrath of God. And it almost never happened because we could see it working. We could see it working. And outside of that, they let us do almost anything.
Now, how did you parent differently? First of all, your mom had 3 kids and you had 1.
Well, I didn't parent nearly as well.
As your mom and dad?
No, I didn't. No, if I could go back and do it again, we have a great kid. Lars is 26.
He is.
But if I were to go back, I would have been way less controlling and also way less indulgent. We only had 1 kid, so we were able to give him a lot of things. I would have given him a lot less.
Okay.
So that he could earn some of his own stuff and enjoy that. And I wouldn't have tried to kind of manage his school career because I think that my generation has got a problem with that. We overdo the scheduling of our kids.
Really? I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The helicopter parents.
I was just thinking. In fact, I heard a sermon series this morning on my station, and they were talking about helicopter mothers and how utterly dangerous they are to the kids. They think they're helping the kids, and they're hurting the kids more than they ever would know.
Oh, we don't give kids any free time. And people say, oh, it's so dangerous out there. You got to... It's never been safer to grow up in this country ever.
Really?
Never. It's never been...
And you live in Orange County.
It's never been less likely that you're going to be the victim of violence than right now. And crime has been dropping for 30 years. And we think it's this Mad Max out there. It's just not. It's not. It's just not, especially here. So it's just...
But you know what's interesting? Now, I've been in Des Moines since 78. So 78, so what is that? 40 years. Almost 40 years. And... it used to be when there was a murder in this town, it grabbed everybody's attention. Now there's probably one at the lead story on every
but look
station.
at the statistics. Look at the real statistics of crime in almost anywhere in America. And since the early 90s, there has been a precipitous drop in violent crime. And nobody knows why. Everyone's guessing, but nobody knows why.
Why the big deal about gun control then?
I don't understand that either.
I mean, I think it's interesting, and you can't argue with facts. Chicago has a no-gun policy. You can't have a gun.
And Washington, too. Look how well it works.
And in both those cities, the murder rate by guns is out of the world.
South Dakota, they got 5 rifles next to the door, and things are just fine.
That's right. That's right. You know, I think we ought to post a sign outside of the theater that says, want to borrow a gun during the movie? Come get one. You know, I don't think anybody be standing up shooting. Now, how have you seen that change? Because you don't know, Bob was with the DCI as he's a true CSI investigative agent for 35 years.
Maybe he's checking up on us right now.
No, he is. He's my
I'm taking notes.
Yeah. So how has that changed in this time that you've been here?
Well, I remember when I first started doing crime scene work back in 1979, I was out all the time. We probably had 80 to 100 investigations that we did statewide, not including large cities. We do outside the city. But it really has dropped probably like 50, possibly at this time. Wow. But I was always going all the time, and I did it for 10 years and said I had enough and got out of it. So we have new people, young people that can do the dumpster diving. But I think that you're right in the fact that it has dropped. But we see everything is sensationalized by the media because we have instant TV shows. They'll go
Twitter, everything.
Right, and so they're showing all this. So people are thinking that our world is falling apart because we have all this uncontrolled, out of control crime, and it's not out of control.
But we look at like Ferguson, Missouri,
which again was generated mainly by the media that drew people in.
So
and made it accelerate.
So you feel, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if the cameras hadn't been there, nobody else would have been there either.
It wouldn't have been.
It would not have been as big as they were making it.
So everybody just wants their 15 seconds of fame.
There are groups of people that are just waiting for a place and an incident to occur, and they'll go.
Well, I know a year ago in Ferguson, they talked about busloads and busloads and busloads of people from all over the country bust into Ferguson to be a part of the riots.
Cameras are on.
Yeah. All right, let's take our last break. David Housholder, pastor at Robinwood Church in Huntington Beach, California, is here. Also author of 6 books, including 7 Secrets of a Meaningful Life. And I know you've enjoyed our conversation today and talking about life and evangelism, and we're kind of honoring David's mom, Delphine, because she's here. She's celebrating 80 years. But when we get back, let's take our clothes off. Let's talk about politics. And I want to know what you're seeing back in California, because right now, it's unbelievable here. I mean, the Iowa State Fair starts tomorrow, and there will be 17 Republican candidates there in the next 10 days. All right, we'll talk about that when we come back, live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I've purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome back. 10 minutes for the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at 3, and then 3:03, the Steve Deace, live back at his home market, right here every afternoon from 3 to 5, here on 99.3. All right, David Housholder is my guest today. He is the older brother of the Housholder that we all know here in Central Iowa, Mike. And David is also a pastor out in Huntington Beach, California. He's also an author who has written, I said 6, is that right?
4. I think.
Ooh,
maybe
I think
5.
4. All right. Several books. The Blackberry Bush was one of my favorites. His newest is The 7 Secrets of a Meaningful Life. It is 7 chapters with 49 different
49 segments in 7 chapters. So you can use it as a personal devotional for 49 days, or for Lent, 50 days, that kind of thing. Or you can use it as a 7-week sermon series, and a lot of pastors are doing that. It's also kind of gifty. It's got a nice cover and stuff.
It's kind of
it makes a nice graduation gift, mom gift, Mother's Day, that kind of thing.
And Mom Delphine read it, and she likes it, but she's not going to say anything different. What is she going to do? She's going to get kicked under the table by her own son. But it's nice to have all your boys in town this week.
Thank you so much.
And when are you leaving, David?
I am leaving tomorrow morning to go back to Minnesota to speak at the Alliance of Renewal Churches conference up in St. Paul. So,
are you going to come back and go to the Iowa State Fair?
I wish I could, because I would love to get like rhinoceros and cheese on a stick or something. But,
well, we have it.
I'm sure.
We have it. And you can watch the birth. Have you ever seen an animal birthed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing at the fair. They'll put up signs that our boar, a boar is a male, right? Well, anyway, our female animal should give birth in 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. And there'll be this huge gathering around when this cow gives birth to.
Oh, I used to help with that in South Dakota as a student pastor. Oh, yeah. We were not at the fair, out at the farm. So it's just part of what you did. They come out pretty slimy.
I'm with you, Delphine. I don't.
That's true.
After you get them all wiped down, just hand them to me. That's good there. All right. So how do you in California see us in Iowa right now with all the politics?
Well, the whole world sees Iowa, which is fascinating. This is Iowa's once every 4-year thing where the whole world, literally, Europe, everybody looks at what you're doing here. And I think it's a great thing. I really do. It's good that they have to come here and prove themselves and get through the meat grinder that this state is. And not many survive.
And see, I always think of Iowa as a bunch of nice people. And we are. But when it comes to every 4 years, we kind of bring the nails
and you've
out.
gotten good at this.
Yeah.
You've done it for so long.
Well, Jimmy Carter was the first one that came here and started this caucus ID.
You're ready to go, you know, when they show up. And I think that's a great thing. So there's 17 people on the Republican side right now. There's not going to be 17 on the other side of Iowa.
No. Now, so you see most of what I see then on television and in the newspaper.
It's national news.
All right. Did you, I may be telling you something you don't know. Did you watch the Family
Leadership Summit
a few weeks ago when Donald Trump said the thing about John McCain?
Yeah, exactly. I remember that, yeah.
Did you hear what he said the other time?
Which other time? He said a lot of things.
Dan Luntz, the guy from Fox News. Frank Luntz says to Trump, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? Oh, yeah, I went to church. In fact, I was in Norman Vincent Peale's church, and my dad took me there, and I was an altar boy.
I'm kind of sort of a Presbyterian.
Yeah. And finally, Luntz stopped him and said, no, Donald, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? And he had this look on his face, and he said, no, I just go fix it myself. And 2,800 evangelicals, including Bob and I in that room, just went, oh, no.
Well, he's not a serious candidate, but he's an important person. Here's why.
He's not a serious candidate?
No, he's not.
He's got 32%.
Yeah, he does now. But that's not going to last. But he's very important, though. And here's why. He's giving a voice to a lot of people who are really ticked off. Yep. And we need to pay attention to that.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people who have been told what you have to think, what you have to do, because we voted this way, the Supreme Court did this, and the Congress said this, and we're going to regulate that, and this is how you're going to live. And a lot of people saying, we're not going to do that. And he's their man as far as giving them a voice. They may not even show up to vote for him, but he gives them a voice. And he's a populist. We've had those all through our history. Williams Jennings Bryan was one of those guys. And so
the Scopes trial.
Yeah, the kind of guys who give those angry people a voice. And if there's that many angry people in America, you can get poll numbers like that. We got to pay attention to that. And we got to pay attention to how we're regulating everyone's lives.
But why don't you think he's a viable candidate?
He'll self-destruct at some point, and he doesn't have a heart for service. You really have to have a heart for service to make it all the way to the White House.
But Obama fooled us twice.
You know, I don't want to go into Obama right now because that's a whole other thing. But I don't think he's got what it takes to serve, and I think we'll see that. Okay. I don't think he's ever going to get a majority of Americans to vote for him. No.
You don't think he'll quit?
He might.
Okay.
If he gets offended, he might. Because he doesn't have that, I'm going to serve this country no matter what. I'm going to vote for my party no matter what. He wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
he's not that kind of guy. And so, but he does give a very important voice to people in this country who are just sick and tired of stuff. And we got to pay attention to what he says.
So if you're in the Bush camp or the Kasich camp or some of these camps, are you learning from watching Donald Trump?
Well, a lot of them are saying that in the debates. They're saying that in the debates. Listen to Donald Trump. He's giving a voice to a lot of people who are upset for the last 8 years, last 16 years.
Yeah.
There's people saying this has not gone well.
Yeah.
This has not been a good season for us.
Not been a good 16 years.
And I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump, for goodness sake, but we have to pay attention to the dissatisfaction in this country.
So who do you think is going to be P and VP after the Republican convention?
VP is going to be Carly Fiorina, and she's angling for that already. I think she's going to be great on the ticket. I don't know who the P is going to be. I really don't. It could be a number of people. It could be someone who's not real high in the polls right now, because we all know that Rudy Giuliani was on top of the polls this time 4 years ago. So, so we don't know at this point, but I think it's a great process. I really do.
I'll just tell you who I think it's going to be, and this is a political, what do I want to call this? A political guess. I mean, this isn't what I want, but I think it's going to be Bush and Kasich, because you got Florida and Ohio, and those are the two states you got to go through to win the presidency.
But you see, you still have to get delegates to the convention to do that. If this was a smoke-filled room, that's what they come up with.
Yeah,
but we don't have smoke-filled rooms anymore.
No. And on the Democratic side, is this Hillary's to lose?
She's not going to make it.
You don't think she's going to make it?
No, she is in serious trouble right now. She's in serious trouble.
I know we're running out of time, but I have a theory. I have a theory that Obama's going to go to her and say, I've got you with these emails. Either step aside and let Joe in, and we're going to make him the Democratic candidate, or I'm going to prosecute you with a full extent of my attorney general.
Well, even without that, she's not going to make it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if you're right.
I like his positive attitude.
Yeah, me too. David, as always, I love you. Thanks for being here. Man, I wish you could be here more.
Great to be here, Mac. You got me started in radio. I still love it.
Well, you're a great guy to do it. Delphine, you're a lucky woman. You got these three men that love you, and I love you too. So
thank you so much for letting me sit in.
Good. It's another little birthday present for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Bob, thanks for being here and watching the chat. Ryan, thanks for producing. It was perfect. I haven't had a perfect show produced since, let me think. Since Frank took over producing. No, Frank's doing a great job. I appreciate that. All right, and as always, I always ask you to do this at the end of the show, and I hope you didn't turn off the radio already. I hope you don't turn it off because you know I'm going to say it. But I'm going to say it today, but this time I want you to hear it. There's somebody in your life that you need to forgive. It isn't for them. It's for you. They're living rent-free between your ears. So go home tonight and give that to God. Give that to your relationship with Jesus and forgive them. Because you know why? As you forgive, you'll be forgiven. Yep. I'll see you in church.